Alo, taulangi.
Kalau fai kai tai o le atunu. Awai to atele lava na ona fefe wa I matu fesili po ame o fai le malo. O isi fo ina ono mai lava nga oi me ale malo.
Sao?
Ai ai le talitonunga o le nei e galesia. O lo tongi sa o maa e feso soani lau fai nga malo tutu ila manu. Nam!
Alo.
afia malam lama tili sai singai mea fesili la wali ia sau fai mai kua olo fanga mo di atu mo la fainga malo tu la manua la wa fionga i kovana ma lutena kovana e tasi al tar sanga le mo teo mai mato se fai masiasi mai tato lo lotu se isia sa langa o luo tamao la tunu tau foi na luase le lo pe sili atu na mato walo lo fa ya o luo ngai lo va nga ngai ke lo fia fia ya
malo oh
pese mngeo
haptai
ai se se ngai au foi pes por ngai au si ia fa mangalo mai o ma ko ngo mai ngai af kau I malis foi ko inga fa le lima lava le sifo vai mai ai langa fi au fi mo moli mai kai kai le malo o le lava le ma ko kam fai ava au ang ei ka se si lau fai pese o le ko inga fa lima sifo
na lo Bos ka ia foi ko por inga le fai mai ko vanga balukian ko vanga ese siak ya ko le la se siak ko vanga balukian ko vanga Malo. Kaptai. Mana ia sa uninga mta penanga. dai.
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZK TV, Pango Pango, America Samoa. You are watching KVZK TV Channel 2, Pango Pango, American Samoa.
Ia na tu fai ngā mana. Sa dai. Makui. Okay, mamoli aku le whaafakai kere.
Like you. And to be clear, in the beginning, that's actually an advantage because it helps you go fast. If you don't have to be having debates constantly about things you might disagree on, that's an advantage.
But where does it give you a blindside later?
100%. So you need to be conscious of that and think about that as the team starts to expand. And I describe that in the book as breakpoints. Like there are repeated breakpoints that I've seen where culture breaks unless you're really conscious of those sorts of things. But yeah, I'll give you another rugby metaphor since we've been on the rugby route this morning. That we don't think of a rugby team as selected on a quota basis, and yet every rugby team has 2 props, 1 hooker, 1 halfback, 1 first 5. And why? If you selected a whole team of locks,
you'd be pretty slow on the wing.
They'd be great in the lineouts, but they'd be pretty crap otherwise.
Yeah. That's Rowan Simpson. He's written a new book, How to Be Wrong, a crash course in startup success. And what we played there was an edited version of the interview I had with him. You can watch the full conversation on Q&A's YouTube channel. There's some great tips in there about early stage startup survival and artificial intelligence. Well, after the break, we meet an MP concerned about the practice of so-called virginity testing. Can it be banned? Welcome back. Invasive, a human rights violation and completely unsupported by scientific evidence. That's how one MP describes the practice of so-called virginity testing. For this week's Members' Bill feature, we meet Labour MP Priyanka Radhakrishnan, who wants to see the practice banned.
My name is Priyanka Radhakrishnan. I'm a Labour Member of Parliament, and my Members' Bill is the Crimes Virginity Testing Practices Amendment Bill. This bill will ban virginity testing, which is an invasive physical examination of the female genitalia to determine whether someone, a girl or a woman, is a virgin. It will also ban hymenoplasty, which is a related practice to repair the hymen if someone fails that test. Now, there's no medical or scientific basis for virginity testing. I have heard stories, cases of young women here in New Zealand who've been subjected to the practice of virginity testing and hymenoplasty. Sometimes it happens here, sometimes overseas as well. I've worked in this area prior to entering Parliament. I did a lot of work on forced marriage. I know that some of these forms of violence can be very hidden, so it is difficult to develop a scale argument in terms of how many people are being subjected to this, but I know of cases that have happened, and for me, that's enough for us to act. There is sometimes a concern by human rights practitioners, for example, that criminalizing a practice that is already quite hidden could drive it further underground. That is something that I would be keen to test once the bill is drawn through the Select Committee process. Often people, sometimes say to me, but this is something that's cultural. Why would we want to step in and, police someone else's culture? It is not a cultural practice. It is one that is rooted in patriarchy. It is only girls and women who need to prove somehow that they are virgins, not men. There is no medical or scientific basis to this. It is a form of violence in itself. Consent is often very murky because, women, and this is international evidence, women who come forward in other countries do say that the sociocultural norms and expectations that they've been brought up in sometimes lead women to agree to it. It doesn't mean that they are consenting to a practice that is, in its essence, a human rights violation.
Priyanka Radhakrishnan with her members' bill there. And just a reminder, as well as watching our show on TVNZ1, you can also see us on TVNZ Plus. You'll find all of Q&A's work there, plus the best of the TVNZ newsroom. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Before we go today, the Vatican has announced that Pope Francis is in a critical condition after a respiratory crisis. Just looking at the latest from the BBC, they say he's more unwell than yesterday. He was admitted to hospital for bronchitis late last week. Now, he was elected to the position in 2013. He's the spiritual leader for more than 1 billion Catholics around the world. We'll have more on the story on One News at 6 and developments as they happen on onenews.co.nz. Well, that's Q&A for this week from the Q&A team. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Thank you so much for watching. Hei te rā wiki. We'll see you next Sunday at 9 a.m.
Q&A is made with the support of New Zealand On Air.
The film that we'll be showing at the New Zealand International Film Festival is Our Atoll Speaks, and it is about climate change and Indigenous climate knowledge. So I actually was raised in Puka Puka for the first 5 years of my life, and so I went back 7 years ago and I just completely fell in love with the atoll. Yeah, I think this film was a way to showcase the strength, beauty, resilience of the Puka Pukan community and of the atoll itself. Oftentimes what you hear about is kind of this disaster narrative about climate change, and what we really wanted to show was more the environmental connection and the resiliency and incredible environmental knowledge. You know, when you hear United Nations and climate change experts talk about food security, and what I found out in being there is Puka Pukans are the originators of food security because they've been surviving on this atoll for the last 2,000 years. So, people need to look more at the indigenous wisdom that's already there rather than going to outside experts about climate change solutions.
It's probably one of the first films that will be showing Puka Puka and the effects that the climate will have on the island. I watched something just recently about the Marshall Islands, and they're 2 metres above sea level. So they calculate that within 30 years' time, they'll be underwater. Puka Puka is only about 4 metres above sea level. If everything heads the way it's going now, it could be underwater in 60 years. And I think this movie will make it aware to everybody how important the global warming is. For myself, I'm excited to see the movie. I can't wait to see it. And I know that a lot of people here, the Puka Pukans especially here, who have no idea about Puka Puka, even myself, I was born in New Zealand. My parents came from Puka Puka, but I have that longing to go back sometime.
Adventures of Tupaia is a really unique and special book. We've never had a book about the Tahitian navigator ever before targeted at young people. So the book, even though it was written for an audience of 8 to 12-year-olds, the New Zealand history within that book and the history of Polynesia within that book, I think is really accessible to older people as well and to all Kiwis.
When I started this exhibition, Tupaia was someone that I didn't know about either, so there was a lot of research that went into it, and just finding out how intelligent he was, how just him being this amazing interpreter, interlocutor, this high priest, and just all the skills that he has. I think that's going to be the most surprising part of the exhibition. It's just walking through and then picking up little bits and then leaving from there and just going, this person was on the Endeavour. He was a part of that history too. It wasn't just Captain Cook. Tupaia was there too.
I think people have really overlooked Tupaia's brilliance because it was convenient. I think we've had a lot of European scholars who just haven't been willing or even been able to sort of touch the surface on what that knowledge or that wisdom is or where it comes from. There are some things within the Adventures of Tupaia that really were transformative for me. So I'm just hoping it will be transformative for readers as well, and it will make people feel really proud of who we are and how we got here and where we're going.
I never saw myself in those stories. I'm from Papua New Guinea, so my Abras and my Noggers would tell me my stories, but then you go into schools and you don't see those stories. So I think it's just seeing yourself and then hearing your voices too.
I didn't learn about New Zealand history until I was in 7th form, and it really opened my eyes and it opened my heart and opened my mind. And I hope that this story can really just do that for people as well, that we're Polynesians, we share so much together, and we're definitely in a time now of decolonisation, of taking our stories back and taking our heroes back, and there's no way New Zealand would be what it is today without Tupaia.
It's a beautiful day. Wake up. It's a beautiful day. Wake up. It's a beautiful day. Wake up. It's a beautiful day.
Good morning, a beautiful Tuesday morning to all of you that have just joined us. Thank you so much for your company, and I hope that you will join us for the rest of the 2 hours. It's Patricia Naisara and David and I want to here with you. We hope that you're going to have a great day. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Reeling a little bit from yesterday's Facebook action that I found out about later on in the day, but yeah. I'm good.
We had a little fun yesterday.
We did. I'm really happy to be back.
Yeah, it's going to be spilling over for today,
yep.
And we've got a lot more things that's going to be happening this morning. But before we continue, Patricia, there's something that I asked you before we started live, and it is, what is your favorite quote of the day?
It's, anyone who knows me knows that I use this all the time. It's something that my mum always said, and my parents lived by, and it was, you never know what you can do until you try. And I quite literally took that on in my life, and I pretty much tried everything. And I think that's a big part of how we can really start understanding what people's true potential is, because you never know what they can do until they try.
Yeah.
So give everyone a go.
When did you realize that this is something that the philosophy that you would want to live by?
All throughout my schooling life.
Wow.
My parents let me try every sport, every art, everything I wanted to try, they would allow me to try. And it was where you thrived, and if you thrived, we'd pursue it if you wanted to. So I don't want to toot my own horn, but I tried everything and excelled.
Wow.
But it was because I was given an opportunity to try. And it's something that I live by now is you never really know what anyone can do until you give them an opportunity to try. And only then, sometimes they decide, yep, I'm going to keep going. And sometimes they say no. maybe this isn't for me. But you have to give people an opportunity. They have to be given the opportunity to try.
Wow. Very powerful message right early in the morning. We want to do that in the first segment just so that we can kickstart your Tuesday morning. Someone who really tried something and now it's working is Sunia Soko. We're going to be seeing him this morning. He was supposed to come yesterday. We've got a bone to pick with him when he comes in this morning.
We're going to keep him on a lot longer this morning because he missed out yesterday.
Well, he's going to be telling us more about Prima Navia, the decision that he made. And Patricia, we know the story about how he went overseas, competed, won, had the opportunity to go around the world and influence a lot of people, but then he decided to come back home. This is something that I'm always proud of, and the fact that we are friends, and I'm speaking with him every time he opens his mouth and talk about his life story. I'm like, this amazing. I want people to know his story, and it's the same with you as well. Yeah, you know, everything.
Not as exciting, not as exciting as Soko, but I think we live by the same philosophy around trying. And you know, Soko knows my mom as well. You know, everyone who travels to Asia pretty much would meet at Hong Kong Airport or Seoul. And I think the beauty of what Soko brings to this is his passion. You know, Soko genuinely loves and has so much passion for this art, but he genuinely believes in the talent that he's training. And we're seeing it because, you know, like I said, you never know what you can do until you try.
There you go.
He's got these people to try this, and look at where they've gone. They won the choir competition.
There you go.
You know, he didn't just win, Fiji won.
Well, we're glad that we're going to have him this morning, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy the conversation that we will have with Sunia Soko. Also this morning, we've got a small video that we want to show you. You know, Jonathan and his dancing. I'm always excited to see the performance and everything that he has done, especially with the group Manawa Performing Arts. He's shown us a couple of snippets just a couple of weeks ago, and today we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. So it's going to be a great show for us. If you're celebrating your birthday, happy birthday to you. We're getting closer to March. I know that, do you still stick to your New Year's resolution? Do you believe in New Year's resolution?
No.
Okay. Why?
Because I can't stick to it. So I'm not going to set myself up for failure at the beginning of the year.
What
That's
do you
the
mean?
worst way to start. So just go with the flow.
Pretty much excel in everything that you do. I'm hoping that New Year's resolution is something.
When you set up New Year's resolutions and you don't follow through, you've basically set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And it's not a good start. So why not just let the start that needs to happen start?
But you do have pre-planned
goals,
things.
of course.
There you go. Oh, say it on national television right now. But we hope that you're going to enjoy yourself this morning. If you're on your way to school, for our students and parents, if you're preparing lunches for your students this morning, for your kids, there's something that I always mention here on breakfast, and I feel like we have to get into a habit of doing that. Selena Kurleda, she came on the breakfast show, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, and I was asking her how we can improve our lives, especially parents to their kids. And she said, we have to get into the habit of validating your children and also giving them so much love so that they don't have to look for love elsewhere. And she said it starts with something like making their lunches, and you write notes on a piece of paper and put it inside their lunchbox without them knowing. So when they open up their lunchbox, they would see messages like, I love you, Luvengu, or I cannot wait for you to get home. And I feel like parents need to get into the habit of doing that, especially early in the morning. So there's something that we would like to leave with you this morning. The words of Selena Kurleda, love your kids as much as you can, and not just tell them. Write those messages so that when they open their boxes, they will be able to see that. You as a parent, this is important for you as well.
Yeah, it is. So I have little routines that I've been doing with my children ever since they were little babies and probably didn't even understand what I was saying. But as a working mom, I would see my children in the morning and in the afternoon or the evening, depending. But one of the things I've always done is in the morning is good morning to all of them. So good morning, Makayo, good morning, Kayele, good morning, Alkai, good morning, Tallulah. And in the evening, I do the same, but I say good night. But I say each child's name, and it'll be good night, Makayo, good night, Mom, I love you, Makayo, I love you, Mom, with each child.
Wow.
It's a routine, and if I came home late and they were already asleep, I would kiss them and whisper into their ears, good night, Makayo, or good night, Tallulah, good night, Alkai, good night, Kayele, Mama loves you. And that was it. Little things I feel like make a difference. I don't do the notes because my children probably think it's rubbish, but I like to say it to them, and I feel that's so important because I need them to be able to show affection. You know, everyone keeps on telling me there's going to come a day when my children won't hug me at school. I'm walking into the classroom, I'm still getting the big hug, I'm still getting the kiss. I'm going to savor those moments, and I really hope that it never ends.
You dread the point where it will end?
Yes, I do. And I hope it never does.
Well, we've got a great show lined up for you this morning. For those of you that I think the weather has come down a little bit now. It's better than yesterday. So we're glad that there are no bad news. Maybe people are still being affected by that. But for those of you that now probably just collecting water, now you would have learned your lesson. For those of us, sometimes we take these disasters for granted. There's something that I'm not going to say my village, but some young, I'm not going to say old people, but they always say stuff like, oh, I'm going to
Yeah. Yes. See, because we've gotten so used to it. Eh? It's almost like the boy who cried wolf. Cyclone, cyclone, cyclone. We prepped for the last few.
Until
I think Winston taught us that we have to take every single one seriously.
That's true.
And I think since then we have. I mean, we were told from last week I was buying batteries and torches, and they're like, no, it's in Vano level. Oh man, my people. But I think it's so important to prepare regardless, no matter what. Unfortunate for me, I live in Lama. We didn't have water, so it's very hard to store what you do not have. But the rain came and the rain provided, and we're always happy for that. The Lord will provide, they say.
Thank you, Jesus.
And He did.
We've got more coming up for you. We've got news, sports and weather, and then we're on a roll from then on. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This is Breakfast News. Fiji is currently on high alert as tropical cyclone Ray continues to intensify and moves forward the southern low group yesterday afternoon. At 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon, the Fiji Meteorological Services confirmed that tropical cyclone Ray was located about 80 kilometers east-northeast of Moala and 70 kilometers south of Vivia, with maximum sustained winds of 95 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 130 kilometers per hour. This morning, these winds are expected to strengthen with maximum gusts reaching 155 kilometers per hour. The cyclone is moving south to southwest at around 17 kilometers per hour and is forecasted to continue its trek towards the southern low group. The system is expected to gradually intensify, with forecasts predicting winds for up to 110 kilometers per hour by 3 a.m. A heavy rain warning remains in place for the entire Fiji group, with conditions expected to worsen as the cyclone moves closer. Meanwhile, government is committed to the safety and well-being of the people during this period. And our reporter Epurama Warwa caught up with both the Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance and filed this report.
Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka is calling on Fijians, especially those in vulnerable areas, to take all necessary precautions as Cyclone Ray approaches.
I want to urge the public to remain alert and take those weather warnings seriously.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Professor Biman Prasad, also shared his reassurance that the government is fully prepared to support affected communities.
We, as a government, we assure all our people that the government is fully prepared to support, provide information. At this stage, a lot of information, very timely information, is going through the media.
The Deputy Prime Minister highlighted that relief efforts, including financial support for damages, would be swiftly coordinated through the relevant government agencies. He urged people to remain in safe locations and to prepare for the possible challenges ahead.
As I said, the government is prepared. We will look at the moment. It's not very clear. The cyclone has been upgraded to category 2. It depends on the intensity of which route it which route it takes and the intensity with which it moves over certain parts of the country. And of course,
Today's divisional operations have activated their standby teams at the station level, ready for deployment when the need arises. ACP Ndriu said he has officers on Vunombalavu with regards to the situation on the ground as Tropical Cyclone Ray treks into Fiji waters. ACP Ndriu says police officers have been assisting families to move to evacuation centers and is also calling on those living along coastal areas and low-lying areas to take appropriate action with their safety. Members of the public are urged to be safe and take all necessary safety precautionary measures. The Fiji Police Force, as per a High Court order, has started the week-long process of destroying the 4.15 tons of methamphetamine at the dignified crematorium in Nakasi. Known as Operation White Wave, the meth will be destroyed by way of vaporizing in a furnace, a destruction method practiced by law enforcement globally. The $2 billion meth was seized from a vacant house in Lengalenga Nadi in January of last year, and a week later, another major bust occurred in Mangalevu Nadi. Meron Mili was at the crematorium yesterday and filed this report.
Director Operations SSP Kasiano Wusonilawe says the Fiji Police Force conducted months of security assessment in preparations for this week to ensure there is no interruption to the process of destroying 4.15 tons of meth.
The preparation for these destructions did not take place only for today. We have been preparing this from a few months ago. As soon as the application was done in court, then we start preparing for that, in line with the security, assessing the security threat on the ground and the criminal elements. So that's how we have prepared ourselves in the security front for the security check and the demarcations of the boundary of where the observers, the media, and the police officers have to be based. So it is the smooth for the destruction that is taking place today. Yeah.
SSP Wusonilawe says, with the risk of interference with the drugs, it was important for it to be destroyed.
Why it's really wise to destroy the drugs before the process of the case, in the complete phase of the case, the safety of the exhibits. I know that you have the media knows that most of our cases were the exhibits was being interrupted. So these drugs, for us, we think that it is wise to make the application in the court to destroy the drugs and tender the report to the court and let the process go.
The force says thorough consultations with stakeholders and clearance from relevant authorities have ensured the disposal process is by best practices, considering the health and environmental concerns associated with the destruction of the high volume of illicit drugs.
Yeah, because before the court order was being issued or approved by the court, they demanded the Minister of Environment to do the assessment. So when the court received the certificate from the environment with the green light for us to go forward, then the court approves the court order to be issued for the destruction. We did not do this just for what we think right, we do it. But we have to liaise with the other government ministries to assist us.
Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, John Rambuku, observed the destruction process and was impressed with the professionalism and transparency.
If you notice today, there's been no vehement objections from many of the defense counsels and all the processes that were followed today. So I firmly believe that the process have been transparent, has been transparent with the presence of with the heavy presence of the media and the independent observers from the embassies. The senior police officers, the forensic team, and of course the magistrate and the judicial officer, and the senior court officers being present today. So in terms of processes, I think it has been transparent enough for the process of a trial.
Operation White Wave will take 7 days, and at the end of the week, the Fiji Police Force will provide a full report of the destruction process to ensure accountability and transparency. Marioni Mili, Fiji One News.
We've got sports and weather coming up straight after this.